Hello, YouTube. It is Wednesday, September 20th. Let's get into the forecast because this is an interesting one, and I wanted to do this YouTube video to really go in depth on it because the system that could develop could have a name, may not have a name, and it starts to get a little confusing. So let's go ahead and dive into what's happening right now. We've got this stalled front sitting off the southeast coast, and along a front, that's the centralized area where we've got a change in wind direction, and sometimes as some upper level energy is able to move over these fronts, it can spin up into a low pressure system. And that's what we expect to happen as we head into the next 48 hours. It should become better defined as we get into Friday, but the issue here is that since this system has not formed yet, it's difficult to model a system that doesn't have a center of low pressure just yet to figure out where it could be headed. The other issue is that this could form and potentially make landfall within, 12 hours or less. So it could spin up rather quickly. We need to talk about it. There's a chance that it could become a tropical low pressure system or even a subtropical low pressure system, which starts to make this even more complicated. That's why we stress focus more on the impacts I'm about to tell you about in terms of rain and wind than whether or not it gets a name. But I wanted to spend a little time on this. There's about a 40% chance over the next couple of days that it could become a tropical system. Either a tropical depression or a tropical storm, but the more likely scenario would be that it becomes a subtropical system, which is a hybrid between a normal low pressure system and a tropical low pressure system. So when you really get into the details of what's tropical versus subtropical, the core of it is warm and cold core. There's no fronts involved in either of these types of systems. The strengthening mechanism, though, for this subtropical system that could develop is that upper level energy moving over the surface low that I was telling you about, though could strengthen due to warm water, and that may sway the tropical versus subtropical title. I mean, it gets really complicated, and the key here is whether it's a subtropical storm, a tropical storm, or a coastal low, the rain and the wind impacts are probably going to be the same. Here's the thoughts in terms of the rain chances. 60% on Friday. We've bumped up that chance. We're up to 70% now on Saturday. So the system's speeding up, but that means the rain and wind get here faster on Friday, but they're out of here faster. You may be able to salvage part of your weekend. Sunday's looking a bit better. We've lowered rain chances to 20%. Looking pretty good on Sunday. Let's talk about Friday, though. I think it's going to take some time since the air's dry for the moisture to really reach the ground, for us to really see that moisture fill in from the surface all the way up to the cloud level. So by the time we get midday into the afternoon, I think that's when we could begin to see some rainfall. I don't expect that we're going to see lightning Friday. I don't think that it's going to be very heavy rain up until Friday night. Then Friday night we could see some of the heavier rain move in. But hopefully with the lack of lightning, the kids can hopefully play some of their Football Friday games. We'll keep you updated on that, of course, over the next 48 hours. Saturday, we have this rain sticking around, but as far out as our high-res model data goes is 2 a.m. Saturday. So we'll have it going out farther. Later tonight, you can check in for an update with Mike at 10 and 11 on WRAL News. In terms of our wind potential, we're talking about maximum wind gusts to about 35 miles per hour. We could see some of those strong wind gusts Friday, late in the day, but especially on Saturday, I think that's when the coast would see some of the strongest winds. We have pretty high confidence that it's going to be a big wind event for the coast, some 40 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts possible there, and it's going to be pretty windy here with some gusts up to 35 miles per hour. At this point, we're not expecting tropical storm force winds locally, but the coast could very likely see some. The rainfall, this is the biggest question that I still have in my mind as I put together my forecast. We just have such a tight gradient from the green to the orange. And to put that into perspective, the green to the orange that you see across the state, the green is just a trace of rain, barely any touching the ground, and the orange is 5 inches of rain. And we see that big spread over a pretty short distance just in our state. So stay tuned for updates because any kind of wobble in terms of how close low pressure tracks to the coast or maybe just offshore, a little closer to us, is going to update these numbers significantly. So I have pretty low confidence in how much rain we see right now, but that's kind of a preview of the numbers. And you can see here we have a huge spread from barely anything in Raleigh on the Euro to over 2 inches on the NAM and the American. Our in-house model, a nice split with just under an inch of rain, but a lot of uncertainty on rain chances in terms of how much we see, but we've got better confidence in when we could see the rain now. Something else to note before I let you go on this weather update. some promising news for us is that the sea surface temperatures have cooled just off the coast. That would be good news for any systems that could develop to our east this season that could try to track our direction. That cool water could be protecting us. However, we still have warm waters close to the shoreline, and that's why we could see that coastal low develop into something tropical or subtropical. Of course, we're going to watch it all for you. We'll have updates for you on WRAL throughout the next 48 hours as the system develops and through the weekend as the system passes through. Bottom line here, it is looking wet and windy for you Friday and Saturday. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask them to me on my Facebook and Twitter pages. I'd be happy to try and help you out in any way I can. Hope you have a good rest of your week and try to stay dry and warm this weekend.